Welcome back. Episode 3 of the Next Season podcast. This is fun. This is cool. I'm glad we're getting a chance to do this. So let's just jump right in. Sophomore year. I was naive and I didn't fully realize what was coming in. So not only in sophomore year, now you're adjusted, right? And now you're kind of you're mentoring, right? You're putting yourself in the shoes of the freshmen that are coming in, the people that you were just experienced with, and now you're kind of looked at as a leader or an example. So that part was really cool. I got a chance to meet some cool freshmen and try to help them navigate the same things I went through without fully realizing it. I knew a bit more of what to expect on the field, what the coaches were looking for. Academically, I didn't fully appreciate that it was going to get that much harder. And again, not only was I somebody in high school who kind of coasted through high school on the field and from an athletic perspective, but like I said, I was that kid who didn't really apply myself and fully put in the effort that I needed to or should have from an academic perspective as well. And so that became a lot more challenging. I'll just say it, girl problems, aka distractions, chasing shiny objects, which are not girl related, but thinking about how am I going to make money? Am I going to do this thing, that thing that took away energy and focus and commitment from my academics, from studying, from training and practice and on the field stuff. So those shiny objects, those distractions, they'll get you. Early in the fall season, I came in good. I felt really good. My mechanics were good. I was hitting the ball really well. I was a lot stronger. I started to see some of the same power that I had earlier. So like the arm felt good. Like everything was good, right? Aside from, those other things that I just talked about, but on the field stuff, I felt good. We were doing long throw bucket from right field where we throw either to home or third, and try to hit the trash can, hit the bucket, and shoulder popped. And so I try to keep it quiet and play through it, but there went any arm strength that I had. And all of a sudden I was back struggling again, and it hurt to swing. So this is early in the fall season. This is probably October-ish. We're still out on the field. I was playing outside. And so at that point I was back to living on ibuprofen and icy hot. About halfway through my sophomore year in college, that we get going from winter break, and I was already starting to see the signs of checking out. I knew going into the spring season that I was probably the starter in right. I stopped going to class. Not every class, but there were some classes I just stopped going to. And it came to the point where I was checked out. I remember over winter break, we had to pick our classes in our schedule for spring semester. And I remember sitting down at the home computer and staring and thinking, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go. I picked the classes, returned for, I think, 2 weeks of the spring semester. This is January of 2005. And called my coach. I said, I need to meet with you. And I called the chaplain, the team chaplain. And I said, I need to meet with you. And I said, I'm leaving school. And they understood. I don't think they understood. They empathized as we talked about it. They didn't. They tried to give me some good counsel, but they didn't really try to convince me. Because what I think we all realize, and certainly realize now, is when you're done and then you act on it, you're done. There's a concept that I have called unquit, and someday we'll talk about that further, really what that means. And at the point that you can start to see those signs and start to give up, but not fully commit to that quitting. And so you've got a very narrow window where you can unquit, you can kind of pull back. I was beyond that. And so I quit. And the coach and my chaplain, my team chaplain, said, if you're going to do this, You're going to stand in front of the team and tell them. It was a Tuesday night, 7, 8 o'clock, mid-January. And we pulled the team together, and I stood up in front of them and told them I was leaving school. And I was quitting the team and quitting on them. And I got a lot of love and a lot of understanding from them. And I really appreciated it. It meant the world to me that these people, these guys, these teammates could understand, but they felt for me in the situation. They knew it wasn't easy. And they understood that they thought that I was doing the right thing. And some of them tried to convince me a little bit, but they let it happen. And a quick side story, and I'm just going to tell you about the quality of teammates. When you go through hard things with people and the bonds you build through that. So I left school. Some of my best friends are those teammates to this day. And they didn't have to include me. They went on to have another 3.5 years together of friendships and travel and games and hardships and life and losing parents. And I wasn't there for it. But they kept me involved. And that's the kind of brotherhood you can form when you've got good teammates. Anyway, so I quit. And I thought I was going to be like a semester, right? I was going to reset. I was going to transfer schools. I was going to go to a different school. It was immature, and I hadn't even told my parents. Here's the kicker. I told my coach, I told my chaplain, and I told my team. And then I went to the registrar's office the next day, and I unenrolled. And on the way home, I called my parents and told them. So immature, impulsive, and honestly, one of the dumbest decisions I've ever made. But from that point, it set in motion what ended up being almost a 20-year journey of turning the pain of my youth and the pain of my teenage years and the pain of that moment and that one semester that I was going to be out of school and then transfer to a different school, which turned into 4 years because I got a job and then I got another job and I started making money and I didn't have any commitment. Those 4 years, the pain and the struggle and the uncertainty. And I looked ahead and I was like, I'm going to be a statistic. And that set in motion a nearly 20-year journey of turning all of that pain into purpose. Now, I don't know what my college career would have been had I kept playing. I know I'm a realist. The chances of a pro career are incredibly slim, but who knows, right? Who knows? I go on a run, and start hitting the ball really well. We've all seen the examples of guys that were at small schools that something clicks. I do know this. If I had understood then what I know now in terms of maximizing and optimizing your talent, whatever you got, in terms of consistent, intentional, purposeful work, in terms of effort, in terms of attitude, in terms of ambition and goals, in terms of mindset, if I had understood all of that, which I know now, the journey would have been much different. But my mistakes and my negative mindset and my guilt and my shame led me to put hurdles in my own path, which made any chance of that athletic career not a thing. My professional goals and my relationship with people I care about most, I push them aside. And so it is my mission to help others, to help ball players, high school players, college players, pro players, to avoid making those same mistakes and doing the same thing. That is my mission. You're going to have to go through some hard things, right? You're going to have to make those mistakes and you're going to have to learn from them. but you don't have to throw away your career in the process. Take that part from me. For the past 15 years, I've lived a life that has been devoted to self-discovery and continuous improvement when it comes to mental, physical, and emotional health. I'm a work in progress. You can ask my wife. I have taught, coached, and consulted professionally for managers, leaders, and executives of some of the biggest companies and agencies in the United States, in the world. A couple of years ago, I really dove into studying neuroscience and psychology and really what I just call it mental skills and performance coaching, mindset coaching. And like I said, it's my mission to bring those lessons and those perspectives and those experiences to you, the baseball player. We all hear that it's the best way to learn is from experience. And one of the things I found is that I don't fully agree with that. I think the best way to learn is from someone else's experience, so you don't have to go through it. And yes, it's still going to be hard and painful, but you don't have to go through it, at least not alone. And that's, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. The other thing that I've learned about experience, and I'm sure I'm going to get him on the podcast, but a guy who's been a mentor and a friend and a brother to me has taught me about experiences. You don't learn from experience. You learn from reflecting on experience. And I'm going to just stop it there because I want to dig into that deeper with him when I get him on the podcast, but that's how you learn. And that's what we're here to teach you. Okay. So again, that gets us through college and kind of up to today a little bit. In the next conversation, we're going to dive even more into today and where we're going with next season. So until then, see you next time.